Do your 808s sound like this, but you want them to sound like this? Well, by the end of this video, you're gonna know everything about how to do that with FL Studio stock plugins only. The best method for getting your 808s to stand out, sound good on small speakers, or sound huge like for trap metal is to take the track that your 808 is on and go to another track, go to this arrow, right click it, and click route to this track. So what this is going to do is make the 808 output from this mixer track as well as this one. So we've got two signals of audio going to the master. So I usually like to rename this other track so that I don't get confused. We'll just call it 808 distortion. I like to turn it red because distortion red in my head. And we're going to be processing this separately from this. And this is called parallel processing, which is just a fancy term for affecting one signal while keeping the original signal outputting as well. So this mixer track is going to have all of our distortion, and this 808 is going to be completely untouched. So I'm just going to grab a fruity fast distortion. See, that already adds a lot. But after that, we need to add a high pass filter because we don't want the distortion going through to the sub. That's why we have that first layer of just the original 808 so that we can have a clean sub. So I'm going to high pass it to around 170 to 200. It's depending on your taste. So if your only goal is to make your 808 be able to stand out on small speakers like phone speakers, you can also low pass it to around here because this is going to be the region that people are going to hear more as bass, because on a phone speaker it doesn't go below around 200. Pretty much right here you're already done. Just distortion and a bandpass like this. However, if you want to take this a step further and you want to get like loud ass XXX type 808s, we got to do a little bit more. We're still going to keep this high pass filter, but we're going to do some extra stuff. We're going to stack some distortions. I'm just going to go to this preset and fruity fast distortion. Overdrive is a good one. One of my favorite distortions in FL Studio is Destructor because you can stack things onto it. So we're going to get rid of all of this. So by default, this distortion is set to Harmor Classic. Or if you want, you can go for like a heavier distortion like Harmor Cube. Then we're going to change this one to distortion as well. It went to Blood Overdrive, so yeah, we might as well do that. Just for good measure, we're going to add another distortion. And then we can add another distortion, bro. You can go crazy with this. Add as much distortion as you want. Now, to shape the distortion sound of your 808, you can add a parametric EQ before the distortion. One of my favorite things to do is to like boost the low end before it goes into the distortion. And that's fine to do because we have this EQ taking out the low end later. So it's not gonna hurt the sub at all. Boosting different areas in the frequency spectrum is going to give you a different tone of 808. But let's say you think that still don't sound distorted enough. We can add a fruity wave shaper. If you make it a rectangle like this, it's going to be just ridiculous. And you can just draw in a shape like this, like going up and down. The more jagged it is, the more distorted it's going to be. And I have an entire tutorial about how Wave Shaper works. I'll put that in a card. And the very last thing we're going to do is get a fruity stereo enhancer. And what this is going to do is just make our 808 wide. Wide as a truck. The way I usually like to do this is just take it to the left side around here and the stereo separation to around the same amount. And it just makes your 808 sound a lot bigger because it's getting separated in the stereo field. Because we have this original signal going out, the sub is completely unaffected and the sub is still mono, which is what you want. But let's say that you don't want to go through that every single time you want to make your 808 stand out. Well, guess what? I made a patcher plugin called 808 Baker that does all of this processing for you. All you have to do is load it in and boom. You can get this on the YouTube shop. It's $8. $8.08, because I mean 808. So we've got 5 knobs here, which are basically related to everything we just went over. We've got the bake knob, which just turns on the amount of distortion. And then we've got the fry knob, which just does ridiculous distortion. And then we've got a width knob, which just activates a Fruity Stereo enhancer. And we've got a tone shaper, and this is controlling a EQ before the distortion, doing it at different peaks. And then it's got this high pass filter, which just controls the EQ on the high pass filter to decide how much low end you want to cut out. And it's got a bypass button, so if you just want to hear what it sounds like without all the processing and just kind of A-B it. Is America ready for a femboy president? I think we're dying for a femboy president. Just anybody else. If there's something else you want to see, let me know in the comments. And if you want to get the 808 Baker to support or just make your 808 sound distorted, it's on the YouTube shop, baby.